What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about Evil Dead 2. I want to continue this series that I'm doing right now, going over every film in the Evil Dead franchise leading up to Evil Dead Rise. It came out this year, 2023, and as of recording this video, it's been roughly 2 weeks. So I'm a little behind. I know a lot of people already watch it. Maybe some people consider it old news, but I wanted to take the time to talk about these films because I had never seen these films before prior to doing this marathon. So with that being said, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like on this video and sub to the channel if you like this kind of content, and trust me, there will be more Evil Dead content. I'm going to do Evil Dead Army of Darkness next after this, and then we're going to do Evil Dead 2013, the remake, and then we're going to do Evil Dead Rise to finish up the series, and then I may do like a ranking video after that, because I've really come to really like this franchise so far. I love the first film, and probably from the way I'm talking, I enjoyed Evil Dead 2. So anyway, let's talk about it. So let's just get this out, just out in the open, man. This movie is more of a comedy than a horror movie. Now, granted, there are quite a bit of horror elements. There are some freaky moments. There's a scene that happens right when, so spoiler territory here, but when Ash loses his girlfriend Linda, right? For the second time, apparently. But when Linda bites the dust, one pops another one. When Linda bites the dust, and she gets possessed, and he has to chop her head off, and all that stuff. So from the jump, just throwing it out there, this is more of a comedy film as opposed to a horror film. Now, there are horror elements, right? Linda, Ash's girlfriend that he brings to the cabin again. And she gets possessed again, and he has to kill her again. There's a sequence where she comes back from the dead, and she's like dancing outside of the cabin while he's looking out the window, and she's like twirling around. Again, stop motion. I think I talked about that in my first review for The Evil Dead 1981, where they use a little stop motion where she's twirling around and dancing, and it was, I mean, honestly, I thought I was watching a Tim Burton film, and I don't know. I think like the Nightmare Before Christmas came out way after this film, so I know. So Tim Burton must have took some inspiration from that, because I thought that was pretty creepy but funny at the same time, but more funny. This film definitely is a comedy through and through, with all the stuff with Ash trying to survive. The severed head of Linda biting Ash's hand, and he's bashing the shit against the walls, and having to cut off his own hand, saying some very cheesy lines while he's doing it. Groovy. Yeah, dude, this is I can definitely see this is the start of the wacky and zany, and I hear Army of Darkness is even crazier. So I know as of right now, I don't think my wife will like it too much. Which, by the way, sidebar, my wife does not like this movie. Listen, this movie's not for everybody. I will say, I've seen that some people consider this to be the best of the franchise, for sure. It definitely has a good mixture in there. They try to implement a little bit more story when you're having these doctors, and they know about the cabin, they know about the book, they're coming to look for it. I was glad in a way that they did that, because when the movie first started and Ash was the only one in the cabin, because as you guys know, in the original there was like 4 or 5 friends, so you had more of a body count, you had more victims of this stuff, and when the movie starts out, it's just Ash, and he's staying isolated in the cabin and running away from the demons, pretty much from the Deadite, excuse me. I was like, dude, is this just going to be a kind of like a Hush situation, right? A Hush, if you guys seen that movie, where it's just like one victim and she's trying to survive from the killer outside. So it was good to have more characters, and it definitely opens up. You start seeing more of what happened in the first one, where they're getting possessed, and one by one, Ash has to kill them, or they die in some crazy manner. And I really enjoyed that. That was a good aspect. Just again from the first film. I had just like the same thing that I said in the first film review, that I appreciated the wacky zany moments, man. Because when you have these like really tension filled scenes, I think something that Evil Dead has done good so far is that when you have these very intense scenes, they always have it like backed up by humor, and it makes it way more palatable, I guess you could say. Like for me, I love blood and guts. I love horror, so I'm not really affected. But I could see like this would be okay for like I don't know if again I say this lightly. So if you have children, please don't think I'm gonna be a shitty dad, okay? But I could see like letting a child watch something like this because it's not like nuts, even though there's some nasty shit in it. Um, you know, it's not like terrible. But yeah, you know, I do see the beginning of the Ash Williams becomes the badass that everybody knows and loves that I've seen throughout my whole life. I just never really watched the films. You know, cuts his hand off because it's like, you know, possessed and it's trying to choke the shit out of him. And he's also possessed as well, but he's able to control it kind of. But he has his little nub there. He puts the what do you call it? The chainsaw on his stub. That's when he says groovy. And then you know that's pretty much the movie. Him and the other doctor, the female doctor, they're just trying to survive. And so essentially, it's just really because going into it, I didn't really know where they were going to go with it because as you guys know, at the very end of the first Evil Dead, Ash survives. He walks out the cabin, and then it's again another beautiful first person shot that I really like of the demon coming after Ash. Ash turns around, he sees the demon, he screams. Movie ends. So I didn't really know what this was going to do. I knew Ash was still a part of this franchise, but I didn't know exactly what his role was going to be. So you know, going into it, I didn't really know what to expect, and so I was really honestly I was kind of like because okay, I said it in my first review. I'm sorry, I'm struggling here. It's kind of hard to do a discussion on this one because this movie feels a lot like the first one, but just maybe a little bit more wackier, a little bit more zanier, a lot less tree rape. So it's just, and I don't mean that. Like I said in my first video, I don't mean that. I'm not joking about rape itself. It's just the scene, where the boyfriend's girl, the boyfriend's girlfriend. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. She goes down the woods and she gets raped by some trees. Really weird scene. Anyway, not really any of that in this film, but it had charisma. Ash Williams, you know, drips charisma. He's super fun to watch. Again, not a very smart protagonist to follow, but you want to follow him and you want to see him succeed. So, and you know, by the end of the movie, it gets wackier than ever, right? I mean, the dude gets sucked into a rift. The doctor reads a spell, opens up this rift. All the demons get sucked into it, including Ash and his car, apparently. And they get put into like the 1300s, like medieval times, man. And I'm assuming that's the start of Army of Darkness because I know the majority of that plot is set during that time period. So and that's essentially it. Listen, it's a wacky good time. You know, like I was telling the wife, you know, it's not a like one of my favorite horror films of all time, but it's enjoyable. It has good horror elements. It has good gore. Like I you know, nothing too crazy, but good blood and gore that I really enjoyed. I like a little carnage candy every once in a while. I thought the demons looked way better. The Deadites looked way better in this film than they did in the first one, which they had a bigger budget this time around. So you kind of start to see that a little bit with the appearances of the Deadites, and I really liked that. It felt like a step up. The only thing I would say is Evil Dead 2 just feels like a rehash of Evil Dead 1. I think it was supposed to feel that way because I believe, and I don't know this for sure, but I believe the rights to Evil Dead, or the company that had distributed Evil Dead, something happened there, so they had to move to a different distributor. And when they did that, they kind of had to get rid of the prior footage, so they had to remake the movie again, is what I'm understanding. I don't know. It's like a whole thing, but I enjoyed it. You know, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. I just really wanted to talk about it because I'm doing a review series here. Hopefully I have more to say in Army of Darkness, but all in all, man, I had a good time with it. You know, I gave a rating to the first Evil Dead. I'm not really going to do that here because this is not really reviews. I wouldn't say I'm really trying to pick apart these movies. I'm just really trying to just talk about things that really stood out to me. But I think that the zaniness is what sticks out to me. I think it does a really good job. I found myself giggling. I wasn't like laughing at everything, but I was giggling. There's a part where Ash is like losing his mind, and like everything around him, he looks up and there's like a deer head on the wall, and it turns his neck and looks at him and starts just busting out laughing, and everything in the room starts laughing. You start like seeing this table lamp laughing, and then you see Ash, he's like starting to laugh too. And it's just stuff like that that's memorable. It might not be like haha funny, but it's memorable. It's scenes like that I feel like I've seen in other movies that may like try to parody it or whatever, and it makes sense to parody it, right? I mean, it looks like the lamp in particular looks like a Pixar lamp, and that's immediately what I thought when I saw it. So, but yeah, all in all, listen, I really enjoyed it, and I'm really enjoying the series so far, and I'm looking forward to Army of Darkness. What do you guys think of Evil Dead 2? Yeah, where do you rank it in your Evil Dead universe ranking? And I'm looking forward to Army of Darkness and the movies that follow. I'm all in. I'm all in this series. I'm enjoying it. Even though this one was a very rehashed, the first one, maybe not as good, I still had a very, very good time with it. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. There will be more Evil Dead content to come. With that being said, stay dead, my friends. We'll see you soon.